As good as that was, this will get better. Because we're at the question and answer part of the evening. We have about 20 to 8. We have as much time as you want. So we have a number of ways in which we're going to get questions asked. There is a podium here. Those that want to speak at the podium, Mike is going to guide you as to how the line should go. So those that want to come down and speak, that's fine. But while we're waiting for that, I know we've collected a number of cards from you, so we have some specific written questions, which are wonderful. But just to start this off, I understand we're ready to take a question or a comment from a phone-in participant. So we're going to shift to that. I'm going to say this, though, folks. It's important because we have so many people that likely want to talk tonight. Could we keep your question or comment to a minute? I think that's critical. And as focused as your question can be, I think that's ideal. And if you have a panelist that you want to direct it to, I think that's equally important. So with that, if we can shift over to the individuals that are tying into this session by phone, let's do that. So our moderator, Eric, who's manning the phones, if we can start with that, that'd be great.
Thank you very much, Chris. Now, for all the people joining us,
or Plan B. Are we ready to go by phone?
Simply press on your phone keypad. You'll place our virtual lineup to ask that question. So we're going to take our first question.
So while we work that out, I'm going to ask this gentleman who's at the podium ready to go to state his name. Where are you from, sir? And what is your question or comment? A minute, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Ted Mansell. I'm the Executive Vice President of Service Employees International Union Local 2. We represent the employees of Flamborough Downs. And as I look around this room tonight, as I did last night in Waterdown, I see a lot of no's, I see a lot of yeses, and if the local had had more time, I would have brought my own sign that said yes and no, because all of these seem to be a very controversial issue around the downtown core. And we're here to tell you, as you had heard earlier tonight from the guest panel, over 4,200 jobs, direct and indirect, rely on Flamborough Downs and a successful slots casino operation. It seems to me that this community is very divided over a downtown casino. And the obvious choice in my mind, as the last speaker just said, is you can have your cake and eat it too. You can keep away the ills that people seem to be worried about with the downtown core casino while still protecting 4,200 jobs. Remember, the OLG has said a casino has been estimated to generate 400 to 600 jobs. If we don't get the casino at Flamborough, we will lose over 4,000 jobs. That is not an economic business case for a downtown casino. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, are we ready to take a telephone question? Okay, let's go to the telephone right now, please.
Mr. Chairman.
Very much, Chris. Now, for all the people joining us virtually on the phone, we want to remind you that if you have a question, you can simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. You'll be placed in our virtual lineup to ask that question live. So we're going to go to our first question from our virtual forum. This is coming up from Phyllis. Phyllis, please go ahead with your question for the panel. Hello, Phyllis. You're joining us live on the forum. Please go ahead.
Okay. Okay. We're gonna give this one more shot here, folks. This is a Hamilton invention here, so don't. If you know what I mean. One more try, because we have a gentleman waiting here, so you know what, we're going to give this a second try in a few minutes. Sir, if you could state your name and your question. And so I just want to really focus here, folks. If it's a comment, that's fine. If it's a question, that's fine. A minute, please. Thank you, sir. Your name and where are you from?
My name is Roger Biankin, and I have been a resident 60 years in the city of Hamilton. I'd like you, Chairman, thank you, Councillor, ladies and gentlemen, to give me this opportunity to express my opinion. I see the city of Hamilton in the last 60 years grow like a mushroom. and I'm very proud to be a resident of that. In my mind, and my feeling is, a casino in the city of Hamilton, it will go up. Is it good or not? I cannot pass that opinion. I can say it brings a lot of work, a lot of things. I understand Anderson Hospital was sponsored by somebody from the casino. I know that who say no, there is a lot of suffering behind. What I'm saying is there is no life without a problem, and there is no problem without a solution. I thank you all.
Okay, now, if we can, we're going to go to the next gentleman, and right after this, I'd like to take a question that's been expressed in writing. So, sir, if you could, your name, your where are you from, sir, and comment, question, 60 seconds. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening. My name is Paul Beck. I'm a proud resident of Ward 8. It was raised this evening that approximately 400 to 600 jobs would be created. I wondered if anyone from the panel can tell us what kind of jobs are those? Are those entry-level jobs? Are those well-paying jobs? And what impact will that have on the community?
So I'm looking to the panel. I'm looking for a person that can answer. Maybe someone from OLG. Could you answer that?
Sure, I'd be happy to speak to that. So there's a variety of positions available in the casino, anywhere from frontline positions, whether it be a slot attendant or an F&B server, and then it goes up from there. So we've got slot techs. The techs get paid a little bit more, and the average salaries, you know, they're quite generous in the neighborhoods of $15 to $20 on average. With benefits, we run about $50,000 on average through the casino. There's supervisory positions, management positions, general management positions. So there are a number of positions that are in the operation that are skilled jobs, and we look for folks that have you know, a significant educational background, and we also have trainable tasks as well.
Thank you. And Mr. Chairman,
I think that's
Mr. Chairman,
no follow-up, sir. Sorry. I want to make sure that we're going to get to a lot of people tonight. So if I don't want to be abrupt, but I think it's really.
I just want to comment that I am opposed to the casino, but if you have to put it somewhere, please put it in Flamborough.
Okay. Paul Johnson to read out one of the questions that was asked by one of our citizens here. Paul?
In response to some of the information that came out today, a question here for the OLG. One of the OLG's stated goals is to increase the percentage of Ontario residents who gamble from 70% to 75%. Why does OLG think it's good for more Ontarians to gamble?
Again, I believe I can answer that one. So
you're going to have to speak right into the mic because they can't hear you.
Certainly. So like any business, we're given the mandate to provide responsible entertainment to Ontarians. And by increasing our participation, again, as I mentioned earlier, we're looking to put the product where the people are, where our customers are looking to have our product. And that's really what we've done through the program. If we were to go back 10 or 12 years in Greenfield, the locations that we have today would not, in all cases, would not necessarily be there today. We would be in different locations. And that's all we're trying to do is align our offering.
I'm not answering the question. That was not the question. Excuse me. Okay, let the gentleman answer the question as best he can. If you need it restated, we'll have it restated, but please.
I understand the question was why are we looking to increase from 70 to 75%? That's what I understood the question
Paul,
to be.
So, Paul, if you could just, everyone, let's, you know, honestly, let's let him have a chance to answer the question. Thank you.
In response to those statistics, so you're quite right, the preface was the 70 to 75%. The question at the end was, why does OLG think it's good for more Ontarians to gamble?
Okay. again, we believe that gambling is a form of entertainment that Canadians are looking for. And that's that Ontarians are looking for, and we provide that product. And as we provide that product where the people are, those numbers will increase. We recognize that our customers are the demographics of our customers. There is a significant above the age of 50. The other thing is that we don't want to. We're very conscious on the amount that people spend in the casinos. We agree with the fact that there are problem gamblers in society, and we're doing everything we can in order to minimize that. But at the same time, we are offering the product to Ontarians. And
okay, if we can, we're going to continue. Okay, Rick, thank you very much, Rick. We are going to move now.
City, Rick. Let's build our downtown.
You know what? You know what? We can shout. Okay, everyone, we're going to try the telephone. We're going to try the telephone call. You know what?
Sir, there's a line for comments if you'd like to join it. I would welcome you to join the line for comments. It is there.
Excuse me for a second. I understand what you're saying. I think
I'm very, I have a lot of faith in this city, and I'm not.
You know what? And all of us do. The truth is that all of us have tremendous faith in the city. All of us are incredibly proud of the fact we got such a great turnout tonight, and so we are very happy about that. I would love us to spend the next hour hearing as many questions and comments as possible. You know what? Passion's a good thing. We got a lot of passion in this town, so we're gonna try that telephone technology one more time, folks. Where's Phyllis? But okay, we're gonna try that. Eric, okay, here we go. So this is try number 3, and usually if 3 doesn't work, then it's out. But anyways, we're gonna try. Eric, help us.
Well, thank you very much, Chris, and we're going to go to a question from our virtual forum. This question is coming up from Barbara. Barbara, please go ahead with your question.
Hi. Firstly, I totally understand the concern.
Okay, Barbara, please continue with your question.
Hang on, folks. I think it's coming.
And if I could reiterate, firstly, I totally understand the concerns of the medical officer of health. But from a revenue perspective, this is so huge for Hamilton. And I do not think that the casino encourages a person to gamble. So my question
is, why
would anyone not support a casino based on the revenue generated for the city?
Okay. So that's more of a comment, or is there a specific question? I sense that there's a comment there, and if that's okay, we're going to go to our next person at the.
But my question is, why would anyone not support a casino in Hamilton?
Okay, so that's the question. Why would anyone not want a casino in Hamilton? So it seems like a rhetorical statement to me, to be quite honest. And and you brave souls sitting up there that want to answer that, God love you. But in light of that, I appreciate that call. The technology is coming. I think we almost have it here, so I'm encouraged by that. But if I can, just this gentleman that's waiting at the podium patiently.
Hi, my name's Eric Gillis. I live in Ward 6, and I'm sorry for that gaffe. I didn't mean to do that, but so I watched a presentation in Flamborough last night, much thanks to Joey Coleman for that, and I've observed that the social consequences and aspects related to the construction of the downtown casino were continually discussed as being very pertinent. Yet I noticed that there was absolutely no sociology professor or social worker professor from McMaster. I'm a McMaster student, and I know that they have a very good reputation, so I'm wondering why that was overlooked. I have a second question, and well, it's more of a comment. I'll try to go through it quickly. I didn't know it would only be a minute. As someone who was born and raised in Hamilton, I've got lots of friends in this great city, and I just want to take a really quick second to tell you about one of them. I'm going to call him John. John's mother has an addiction to gambling. She's taken out a second mortgage on John's house, where he lives because he's in his youth still. And on top of that, took out a credit card in his name because her debt has gotten to the point where she can't afford anything. She hasn't been paying that credit card debt, and he now has a horrible credit rating, and he has $5,000 in debt. So as a result of gambling, my friend has to make the hard decision between choosing to take his own mother to court to restore his own credit rating and actually have a future, or pay it off himself and ruin his future prospects. I'd just like to address the counselors here today and say, please, please don't gamble on our future. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Paul, if you could, again, if you have the name and where they're from and the question or comment, please. Thank you.
Unfortunately, Chris, I do not have the name or where they've come from, but this is a question around the Flamborough and in particular the racing operation there. So just to get our panel primed on that. So there are a few questions here, all related to that. Why was the funding to Flamborough Racetrack stopped? Who made this decision? And is the Flamborough Racetrack certainly out of business?
Thank you. The slots at the funding at Flamborough wasn't discontinued just for Flamborough. It's been discontinued for the total province, to all racing. The Slots at Racetrack program, which funded the majority of the purse money at racing in Ontario, was cancelled in March of 2012 by the Ontario government. And with that, they've put in place a panel called the OMAFRA panel to come up with some solutions for racing. But to be clear, even with solutions from the panel, horse racing in Ontario will be at best about 50% of what it is now. And right at this point in time, racing continues at Flamborough. Will continue at least until March 31st. But after that, at this point in time, we have no funding available for horse racing. As I mentioned in my speech, 85% of the purses for horses comes from the slots, and that program is canceled at the end of March. So racing continues right now, but we have no solution beyond March 31st.
Thank you, Bruce. Okay, Matt.
Hi there, everybody. I just wanted to say right off the top, I'm genuinely pleased to see a full room tonight on both sides, and I mean that. I'd be more worried if the room were empty tonight, so I think we all should genuinely feel good about that. My name is Matt Jelly. I'm the chair of the Central Neighborhood Association, which is a neighborhood association here downtown, bounded by James Street, Main Street West, Queen Street West, and West Harbour. We've consulted with our residents over the past months, and we've heard back from them consistently is they are not interested in a downtown casino, which is consistent with the referendum that was held in 1997, and the idea was rejected 64% in the old city of Hamilton. But people are familiar with my opinions on the casino. I don't necessarily feel the need to reiterate them as an activist because I admittedly am not an expert, and I think we do need to ask the experts tonight and take that opportunity. My question is for Dr. Richardson. To what extent does proximity and ease of access to a casino on nearby neighborhoods nearby neighborhoods and residents, and what profile of resident is most effective, and how does that manifest itself? Thank you.
So the issue of proximity is one that many studies have looked at. There are some studies that will say there's not an issue with it, but in talking about it and looking at it in studies overall, proximity is felt to be a factor. There's been different distances looked at depending on the study. There's work out of New Zealand that looks at, within driving distance, walking distance, if you're 5 kilometers away. So it's difficult to say exactly what that number would be, but certainly the closer you are, the higher rates of participation, and then if you look at a constant rate of problem gambling, related to that, then you'd have increased absolute numbers. In terms of the profile, that's the sort of risk factors that Robert, Murray, and myself talked about. The issue of youth, seniors, male populations, lower socioeconomic status, people who've had an early win, people with financial issues. So there's a range of contributors that increase the risk of problem gambling in particular.
Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Matt. We are going to go to a written question here, if we can, just for a second, so we'll change it up a bit.
Question for the OLG. How much money is raised through OLG and distributed to charities throughout the province?
The amount that's raised by OLG, we've consistently earned about $2 billion annually that gets turned over to the Ontario government to be used for healthcare, education, and other priorities. Specifically for the charities, just so I do have a correct number, I'm going to turn to my colleague. It's the amount is $120 million annually.
Thank you. We're going to try our phone in if we can. We're getting better, I think. Yes, sir. Eric? Are you there, Eric?
I'm here. Thank you, Chris. We have a question coming up, and this question is coming up from John. So, John, welcome to the forum. Please go ahead with your question.
How you doing? I don't know if you can hear me, but hey, look, put a casino in the middle of downtown Hamilton. City centre is probably a pretty good idea, but it will create revenue for the city. It will make money for the city. I mean, what do you want? These people are going out there and spending their money with the crack dealers and stuff like that, right, you know? Why do that? Let the crack dealers spend the money in the city, right?
Thank you very much, John, for that question. Is there someone on the panelists who would like to address that concern?
You have to love it. I think it was just a comment. So with that, though, sir, if we could, your name and where you're
Hi.
from. Excuse me, everyone. Let's
okay, come on. You got to listen to me now. I got to have my say.
You're going to have your say, sir. Just your name and where are you from, sir?
My name is Gordon Gogo.
Okay.
I run the old Federal Building in James North. It's been there 165 years. I would like the people, the yes people, to know I've lived in that area. I'm born here 79 years ago. I've loved my city. I grew up here in 1933. I've seen the city go up, go down. I've seen the buildings tore down, which never should have happened. I try to support what I can. But if you put it downtown, you're going to drain every restaurant. You're going to drain everybody. You're going to kill. Because, you know, addiction is smoking and alcohol and everything else. But you are going to kill James Street North. Take a walk down James Street. Look at the businesses. Take a walk. Hey, I love my city, my parents, and everything else. I used to walk these. But I'll tell you something, it hurt me badly. What the hell's wrong with gambling? I'll tell you what's wrong with gambling. What's wrong with smoking? What's wrong with drinking? It's the same damn thing. It's an addiction. And you know the welfare people that are hurting, they're going to be in there hoping, oh, I'm going to hit the big one. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm a retired truck driver, a teamster. I try to support and love my city. I try to tell people, you know what? It's a hard-going thing. I don't know how many of you are born in Hamilton or were raised here or where you come from, but I am original. I'm original. I support the man I work for. He's worked hard. He's not even from here, but he supports the city 100%. He backs me up. And all of you here tonight, we're sitting here. What are we doing? Well, actually, what we're doing, decide we want something downtown, we're going to do this. What in the name of God would you want to come down and destroy Hamilton? You know, the city is suffering bad enough. Hey, what about the Royal Connaught Hotel? It's been sitting there forever. Nobody cares about that, but the Lister Block, it's all done. Guess what? Nobody in there.
Okay, we're going to...
What happened there?
Really appreciate your comment. Is there a question in there, or is that basically...
My question is,
Sir.
I want to know if the city is going to go for this. I want to know if they're backing it up.
So,
I would like to know that as a citizen of the city.
I think that's a great question, and what I said from the outset, we have a number of councillors here tonight. They are here to listen to your comments, all the comments and questions we're hearing and what our experts are saying. They have not made a decision on this matter as a council. They will be doing that next month. So I expect that we'll probably for that meeting have something maybe as large as this. Maybe.
But it wouldn't be fair for me to ask what their decision would be. No.
These people, as I said, they're here to listen tonight. I would like us to get, because right now we're at 8 o'clock, and I want us to get through as many people as we can, as many questions. They have not, there's no decision being made on this tonight, obviously. There is going to be a decision made next month. Right now, we're receiving information. We're receiving your comments. We're receiving the comments from our panelists. And if I can go to the next speaker, I think your point is very well taken, sir.
Thank you. I love Hamilton.
Chris, a couple of written questions came in. Not exactly sure who would answer this, but since a couple of them asked this in different ways, I'll choose one. It's worded as, will any public money be used in developing a potential casino in the downtown?
Well, I think that question is probably, I don't think there's anyone up here.
I can answer that.
Good. Okay, Rick, sorry.
So the whole premise behind modernization is, again, not only improving where our product is, but it's in how we get there. It's providing that opportunity to the public sector, the private sector, and it will be the private sector's funding that will build those operations in anywhere in the province. So we are opening that up to the private sector and taking that burden off the Ontario government.
Thank you, Rick. Okay, so we're going to try. Hang on here. We're going to try a phone call. The last one worked, so this one will work too, I'm sure.
Thanks, Chris. We have another question coming up, but we've also had a few new people join us on our virtual forum, so we'd just like to remind them that if they want to ask a question of their own, they can simply press 3 on their phone's keypad. So we now have a question from Mark. Mark, please go ahead with your question.
Hi, I am a business owner in Ward 2 on James Street, and I know the last speaker very well, and I thought he did a great job. I also live in Ward 1 really close, and I've been in business now down there for about 3 years, and I've had a chance to talk to a lot of people in the community about this issue. But it's not just this issue. What I really have been interested in is what's going to, make a more vibrant downtown. And the consensus is, with most people who have been there a lot longer than me, is that we need more people living down there. We need people in the lower city. We need a higher density population that will, facilitate revenue, support retail. Retail struggles, to compete with the advantages that large mall complexes maybe give up on the mountain and other places. The city needs, so in my view, is the city needs more people. Is there any study that suggests that a casino environment is going to retract from the idea of moving down into an inner city and make it less appetizing for people? This is really my concern, because I think that we're at a bit of a crossroad in Hamilton. There's a lot of people coming from outside that are interested in this now. There's a lot of investment. There's a lot of coat-tailers. and you know, perhaps the gaming facility is a bit of a coattailer, and I know there's a real desire to make things happen down there and get things going. But to me, in the long run, and I just wonder if people are really looking in the long down the road future. In the long run, we need more people down there, and what kind of a cog in the wheel, in that wheel, would a casino environment or a gambling environment?
Okay, if I can, Hannah, do you want to answer that question if you can?
Yeah, most of the studies seem to indicate that depending where you place the casino will determine what happens to the surrounding area. Generally, when casinos move into areas that are highly impoverished, they have made a very positive effect. Generally, if you can clean up the city, improve infrastructure in poorer areas, you can make it more habitable for new residents to move in. Again, okay, but do remember, this will all depend on where the casino is actually located. If you place it in a large downtown area, which is already doing pretty well, it's not going to change much. I didn't mean specifically Hamilton. I meant in general.
Thank you, Hannah. If I can, Graham.
Yes, this is a question for the OLG. I must say I'm impressed with your ability to collect data. For whether that's average household income or dollars per spend per visit, where people come from when they go into your casinos. I would ask, in terms of if we consider the parking lots and adjacent parking lots, as well as the washrooms, how many people killed themselves in your facilities last year?
Wow.
I'm just going to defer to my colleague, Paul Pellizzari.
Thanks. I'm going to answer this question for OLG. My name's
Paul, could you introduce who you are?
Yes, I'm Paul Pellizzari, Executive Director of Social Responsibility for OLG. The answer to that question is zero. That is not to understate or underplay the significance of risk for suicide with problem gambling. Robert Murray and the Chief Medical Officer indicated that, and there is a risk with that. So I'm not trying to say that that's not important, because it is.
How many attempts?
We don't track that data. What? But if you don't mind me, there are a lot of myths out there. We've been around the province to a number of different places. I've heard 14 people have killed themselves in the washroom of Rama. Not true. I can tell you, in the history of OLG casino gambling in Ontario, there have been 4 suicides either on the property or adjacent to the property since it's been operating in 1994.
Thank you very much. Paul, if we can, a question.
Question for Dr. Richardson and Robert Murray. Bit of a two-part here. What exactly classifies a risk or problem gambler in the research? And with the rise of legal online gambling, have the statistics that have been mentioned this evening drawn a distinction between online gamblers and those that would frequent a traditional bricks and mortar casino, or are they lumped together? And that comes from Mark from East Hamilton.
Generally speaking, people who have problems with gambling, whether it's pathological or people who are a bit subclinical, spend more than they intend, they chase. They experience negative impacts. That might include bankruptcy, family breakdown, violence. We talked about anxiety, depression, the psychiatric mental health issues that come from having a problem with gambling. We can talk about social isolation. We can talk about a wide variety of mental health and social impacts that a person with a gambling problem has. So it becomes a pervasive kind of issue for people who have this kind of problem. And as we've talked about, it can have serious, serious consequences, especially to the family. There's a saying that when I drink with my own liver, but when I gamble with my entire family's well-being. Wow. There's impacts on employers. There is impact on the criminal justice system. We've done studies in prisons that show that 10% of the prison population have an active gambling problem. 15% have a subclinical problem. So, we're looking at a major social and economic issue. Now, what was the second part of the question? I'm sorry?
Was whether the things you're talking about combine online and bricks and mortar gambling, or whether there's a distinction. Is there any difference in the research and the statistics that you've been sharing between online gambling and bricks and mortar gambling?
Yeah, the research on online gambling is a bit newer. This is a newer phenomenon, but the research that we've seen demonstrates that people who are gambling online have much higher rates of problem gambling. You must understand that we're talking about oftentimes people who are gambling to have access 24/7, the comfort of their home. They could gamble in their jammies with a case of beer beside them. Isolation, that there's no monitoring. We've got a lot of offshore, illegal, gray market type sites that really don't provide a product in a particularly responsible manner. So that's a concern. So yeah, we're concerned about online gambling, and there's two kind of concerns, and there's a benefit to the online gambling that's coming here in Ontario that's sponsored by the OLG. In the first instance, I think the OLG is stating that they're committed to a very rigorous registration process that's going to really inhibit youth gambling from getting onto the site. They're saying they're also going to be committed to monitoring and intervening when there's evidence of problematic play. So, I mean, there is an opportunity here to effectively, even more effectively than in a casino, intervene with people who are exhibiting problems with gambling, because you can monitor them much closer. The downside to it is that this is going to be promoted in a much larger way than it is currently. A lot more people are going to do it because it's government sanctioned. They're going to feel like this is a legitimate thing that they can do, whereas now a lot of people believe, erroneously actually, that it's illegal to gamble online. And so we're going to increase the participation rates tremendously. And unfortunately, a cohort, a subset of that group of people are going to develop problems. So there's both a pro and a con to online gambling.
Thank you very much, Robert. We're going to go to the phone. I understand, Eric, you have a caller on the line?
Thank you, Chris. We do have a caller on the line, and we've also had over 23,000 people join us so far this evening on our virtual forum, and we want to remind them that they can ask a question on their phone keypad. So this question coming up is from Debbie. Debbie, welcome to the town hall. You are joining us on our virtual forum. Please go ahead, Debbie, with your question.
Yes, I want to know that if the casino comes into Hamilton, if they're going to employ the local people of Hamilton, or will people be brought from other cities in and take the work away from the people from Hamilton?
Debbie, thank you very much for that question. Back to you, Chris.
Thank you, Eric. We're going to turn that to Rick. Rick, what has been typically the experience of casinos and who they hire?
To answer the question for whether those employees would come from the area, I believe they would. In fact, when you take a look at the employees that we have across the province, they're doing a phenomenal job. And as we went through the procurement process, or as we're going through the procurement process, rather, the first part of that was the request for information, where we met with a number of potential operators, and they're quite complimentary of the talent that we have in Ontario. And they actually took notes back to their organizations back in other areas of North America. So I anticipate that working with the private sector, they would in effect employ local talent for sure, and not be looking to bring in a lot of talent from outside the area.
Thank you, Rick. We're going to go to the podium here. Yes, sir. Your name and where are you from?
My name is Joseph Maselli. I'm from Hamilton here, Ontario. And my question is to all the people here at carrying a no sign. Do you agree that bingo and buying lotto tickets is a form of gambling? And if so, then why not close those places down?
Let's do that. Okay, thank you very much. I think you have your answer. So we're going to go to the next person in line. It's probably a little more honest. If you can state your name and where you're from, please. And
my name is Melissa Height, and I'm an entrepreneur in Hamilton, Ontario. So first, let me clearly state that I'm neither for nor against the casino anywhere. So I just want to, I have 1 minute and I'm going to say something quick. My mother, this is a personal situation for me because my mother has come very, very close to losing her residence through gambling at the Flamborough Casino. And my only concern and I guess question would be to the OLG. Something that I didn't know and I found out through that process was that a person who suffers from problem gambling cannot ban, the family members cannot ban them from going to the casino. They have to ban themselves. And so I guess my question to you, like I said, I'm neither for nor against. My biggest concern is my personal family's well-being. So I just want to know, is that policy going to change in terms of can close family members or doctors or someone that says that they are mentally incapable of making that decision ban them from the casino?
So Rick, if you can answer that question.
Yes, thank you, Melissa. Again, I'm going to defer to our responsible gambling expert, Paul Pellizzari, for that.
The answer to that question, there are circumstances under which a family member or a loved one can ban someone, and that is if you have power of attorney. So if your mother, so if your mother, but if you said if your mother isn't of mental capacity to be able to handle her affairs, and you take over power of attorney, that is the circumstance under which someone else can ban. We appreciate it is very hard on family members when someone has a gambling problem, and we've done as much as we can to try to support family members in how they can assist in that situation. Unfortunately, there are legal limitations, right? This is about, it's about law, and it's about someone's rights to make their own decisions. What we do...
Sorry, if I can just say one thing. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, can a bartender cut off a person from drinking? Yeah. And I'm not...
That's a very valid question. So to compare beverage alcohol and how it's dealt with and how we deal with it. So beverage alcohol, a bartender can look for signs of intoxication. A gambling problem is invisible, yes. Right? And that said, we train our staff to look for what we call red flag behavior signs. So this is a method that was developed in conjunction with the Center for Addiction and Mental Health. All of our staff are trained to look for these signs. We interact with players if they are showing signs of distress, if they're making certain kinds of comments. We will ban people from the casino if they're showing signs of fatigue impairment, because that is something, if you look tired.
No, have you?
Yes, we do.
You actually have done that?
We ban people for fatigue impairment every year.
Cool.
Yes.
So yay for the entertainment aspect of it. I'm all for that. So thank you.
These are relatively new developments over the last 3 years that we've done this, right? So this industry has to change because we have a public health mandate. We've done a lot of things to change what we're doing, and going forward, we're going to continue to do that. So I hope I answered the question. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to the telephone. So Eric, who's on the line?
Chris, thank you for that. We have our next question. This one is coming up from Rebecca. Rebecca, welcome to the virtual forum. You're live. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you very much for taking my call. My question is for the OLG representatives. First of all, I want to make a statement, and that is Paul Godfrey, your leader, recently indicated that he didn't want a casino in his backyard, so why should you expect us to have one in our backyard? I'm a Ward 2 resident, and my property values have been going up. I've been paying a lot more taxes to the City of Hamilton Hamilton because of that, and I'm very concerned about my property values declining because of a casino. So that's just a statement that I want to make. But my real question is, can you tell me which current OLG vehicle or product group generates the highest dollars for the provincial coffers at this time? I know what it is, but I want to hear it from you.
Rebecca, thank you very much for that question. Back to you, Chris.
Okay, Rick, can you answer that question?
Sure. The largest amount is the lottery product.
Thank you, Rick. So we're going to go to a written question, if you don't mind, Paul. Thank you.
Sure. Question for the Deputy Chief. The information that you provided, does a calibration of the costs and the impacts, I would take by extension of that, consider the impacts beyond the casino facility into the neighborhoods that surround a casino facility?
I did mention in my my briefing that there is no data that shows that any of the activities from the casino actually can go into the neighborhood. And so, like we're talking about domestic situations, suicides, again, there's no data that ties it back to the casinos. However, there is research that shows that the types of crimes that are happening around casinos are auto thefts, pedestrian traffic, vehicle traffic, collisions, and disturbances in intoxicated persons. And that's right across the board that we've seen certainly in Ontario. So you're going to definitely see an impact on traffic. You're going to definitely see an impact on probably theft from autos, that kind of incidents. But if you look at the Flamborough experience, again, Flamborough, of course, not quite as populated. 750 occurrences in 6 years. It's about 110 occurrences a year. We don't expect to see that much activity in the downtown core, but of course that still has to be weighted out as it develops. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Chief. So if I'll go to the podium right now, and then after that we're going to go to the telephone, and then Paul, you again. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much, Chris. You're doing a great job. And just as a point of observation for those people at home, most of the yes people have left. So if you're here and you'd still like a seat, there's plenty left. So those people that are out in the hall that are sitting on the floors, please come on in and sit down. There's lots of seats left. So my question is to the OLG. Respecting democracy and respecting the decisions that have already been made here in Council, referring back to the April decision to support a Flamborough location, if our City Council says no to a downtown casino, but yes to a casino at the present Flamborough Downs location, how specifically will the OLG respond?
Again, I'll repeat what I said earlier. Flamborough Downs is a very successful location, and we have a great working relationship with Great Canadian Gaming. Should Council decide to choose only that location, basically reducing the zone to a single building, again, we're a tenant in that building. It's going to limit the number of choices for the private sector. So I think we'd end up having to go back and just take a look at that zone.
So are you saying you would change the rules then?
No, I'm not saying we'd change the rules. We'd have to go back and take a look at it. So I'm not in a position to commit one way or the other tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. So Paul, if you could give us a question.
This comes from a lifelong Hamiltonian with the initial K. Statistics indicate that casinos in densely populated areas have increased addictions of all kinds, poverty, violence against women. The city is already struggling to fund programs to deal with these issues. Since the province won't be footing the bill, what plans are in place to fund the programs that will deal with the inevitable increase in addiction, poverty, and violence against women? Maybe more suited for the right side of the panel. On mine, are there any plans? What have other communities done in terms of dealing with some of the issues that emerge?
Well, I think we have to anticipate that those costs are going to be incurred. It's one of the social impacts that oftentimes doesn't really get well recognized. I don't know whether you have an economic quantification to say, you know, what's the plan is. I don't know that there is. You know, it's part of the economic costs of gambling that I don't think actually gets well recognized.
So we're going to go to, appreciate that response, Robert. If we're going to go to the phone, Eric, do you have someone on the line that has a question for us? And if they could state their name and where they're from, that would be fantastic.
Thank you, Chris. We do have a question, and again, I'd like to thank you to the people joining us on our virtual forum. Over 24,000 people so far this evening. If you'd like to ask a question of your own, simply press 3 on your phone's keypad. Now, welcome to Mike, who's joining our discussion with a question. Mike, please go ahead. Mike, hello. Welcome to the virtual forum. You have a question. Please go ahead with it.
Hi. You sort of struck me here by surprise. My concern is, and I appreciate Mr. Jelly, 1997 we had a chance to have the old Eaton Center, which is, of course, an abandoned building downtown, to turn into a casino. And I 100% supported that. Now we come to this stage of the game, and I'll be honest with you, my wife and I go to Falls View once a month. We spend at least $1,000 or $2,000. Fortunately, we can afford it. However, for those who cannot support it or cannot afford that, why wouldn't we not want that revenue of millions of dollars a year to help these people stop from their addiction? And I got to be honest with you. We first went to the casino. We maxed out every credit card, and then we, the light hit us. We respond. We gamble what we can afford. But I would say, like 200 to the no people, and I can understand their concerns, but $250 million to begin with in the core of this city, like that is, I don't know. Anyway, that's my opinion, and
no, we appreciate that. I appreciate that comment. So if I could go to the podium here, sir, your name and where are you from?
My name is Dan Jelly. I'm the other Mr. Jelly, not the one that the previous caller was referring to. I just want to take a second to thank all the councillors for being here. It's late for them too, and 8 of you were at Flamborough last night. It was really cool. Where's the mayor?
Certainly the deputy mayor is here tonight,
yes,
as well as his chief of staff is here. So he is certainly, through deputy mayor and chief of staff, is hearing all the comments and questions. But
okay, I do have a question. I do have a question for the OLG. Your CEO, Rod Phillips, came and presented to council, and that was very helpful. He was here and told us that by moving the casino from Flamborough downtown, we could see perhaps 10% additional revenue. What reasons do you have to not believe Mr. Phillips?
I don't have any reasons not to believe Mr. Phillips. I believe that's certainly attainable.
Okay, so
excuse me. It's one question and comment. I don't want to stretch it too much because I see a line behind you, and I know we got lots of written questions and a number of people on the phone. So
just 10%. Thank you. That's all I needed.
Thank you very much. Okay, if we can, Paul.
With tax bases and industry leaving the city, how are we going to fill the gap? The question is, could a casino fill that gap?
So if we could, through to you, Helen, as you put your coat on.
I'm sorry, I was thinking about
Hannah,
getting home at this late hour. What was the question?
Paul, could you repeat the question for Hannah, please? Thanks.
With the tax base and industry leaving the city, how are we going to fill the gap is the preamble or question there, and can a casino fill this gap? Is there evidence to support that?
No evidence whatsoever to suggest that a casino can support that
kind of excuse me, we're going to try the telephone again. So Eric, if you have someone on the line, please.
We do have a question coming up, and this question is from Valeria. Valeria, welcome to our virtual forum. Please go ahead with your question.
Did you
Valeria.
say Valeria?
Yes.
Valeria?
Yes.
It's Valerie.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. Please go ahead with your question.
That's perfectly fine. I have a question in regards to Hamilton and its history, that it used to be an industry-based city. My question is the money that would be generated by a casino in Hamilton, would it be going back into the Hamilton to increase industry, or would it be going back into Hamilton for civil service wages, which don't produce anything?
Valerie, thank you very much for that question. Valerie, please, Chris, back to you.
I'm the moderator, so I won't answer that question. Well, to be quite honest, Hannah, I don't know if you can answer that question. It's a heck of a question.
No, you can't really answer that. That's going to be up to whoever controls the purse strings, which will be the government.
Right. Your name, sorry about that. Your name and where you're from, and
yes.
Your question.
Good evening. My name's Ned Nolan. I'm a lawyer in Hamilton. I work downtown. I can't believe that the frenzied pursuit of profit, often cloaked as development or progress, has reached such a peak in our society that we may be willing to sacrifice people's lives and families on its altar. We know about the social costs, and no one's really doubting whether they are real or not. They're very real. We have entire departments of universities which study them. So we can forget for a second about the impact on the arts, impact on small business, impact on the very amazing revitalization that is happening right now in downtown. And we can forget about, for a second, about the 3,400 jobs in Flamborough, but are we so divorced from our fellow human beings that we're willing to endorse the real social costs so that people can make some money? I think that's crazy. I have a very quick question. I have a quick question, and it's for the OLG. We've heard tonight from Dr. Richardson her recommendations about limiting the operating hours of your facilities between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. And I'm wondering if there are any OLG facilities in Ontario with those restrictions in place, and if not, why is the OLG intentionally exposing people to a higher risk? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, guys, you know what? You've been doing fantastic in terms of listening, okay? And so I'd like to hear the answer to that question. Then I'm going to ask the question about how much longer do we want to spend tonight, because we are officially out of time as of 8:30. We did have more time last night, but 9 o'clock probably is a reasonable time to cut it off. But Rick, if you wouldn't mind answering that question.
Certainly. I don't believe any of our properties today have those hours specifically. However, we do offer the product based on what the customers are asking for. We recognize that not every individual has the same schedule through the course of a day or through the course of a week, and we adjust our product offering accordingly. And we have adjusted hours based on that.
Thank you very much, Rick. So are we okay until 9 o'clock? Is everyone all right for that? Okay. So I'm going to go to the podium here, and your name and where you're from, and your question or comment, please.
My name is Patricia Varalje, and I'm from Stony Creek, and my question has just been answered. She walked out the door. She didn't show up last night. I was specifically going to ask her a question, whether she's researched or ever consulted or published any papers. So obviously she hasn't. She left. Thank you.
So excuse me. I think in fairness to the professor, I mean, we had scheduled, people have scheduled their lives around certain events, and so she could only stay till 8:30, so in fairness to the professor.
That's why the S's have a job to go home to.
Well, no. You know what? Folks, you know what? You've done, as I say, you've done fantastic. So let's, whether anyone and my staff can answer that. I think in choosing these individuals, we are careful to make sure that they are subject matter experts. The fact that she's a professor, do we have an answer? Okay, we're going to go to the next question. It's a comment that we appreciate what you're asking, but if we can go to Paul.
The question is, what percentage of revenue is anticipated to be generated at the proposed downtown Hamilton casino by people living outside of Hamilton? So maybe a question in general, have there been studies or investigations done on what is in-city versus out-of-city?
At this point, not yet. That'll become part of the process. Again, I mentioned earlier that we had run a request for information, met with a number of potential service providers, got their input. We've now gone out with wave 1 of our RFPQ process, which will look for the private sector. The next step is going into the RFP stage. If you can bear with me for one moment. At that point, we will be working with the private sector in order to submit proposals. So they'll develop plans around how they wish the facility within the zone to be built, and then we'll be evaluating those proposals. So it's difficult at this point to determine exactly where the customers will come from, how much, what percent will come from the immediate Hamilton area, and which will come from tourism in other parts of Ontario.
Thank you very much, Rick. We're going to try Eric on the phone. Is there someone wanting to ask us a question, Eric?
Thank you, Chris. We do have another question ready to go on the line on our virtual forum. We have over 50 questions waiting to be asked on our virtual forum, so thank you for your patience, everyone. Our next question coming up is Anne. Anne, welcome to our virtual forum. Please go ahead with your question. Anne, welcome to our virtual forum. Please go ahead with your question. Anne, are you there? Please go ahead with your question for our virtual forum. Anne, are you there? Please go ahead with your question. All right, we'll try and get another question on the line. As I said, we do have quite a number of people ready to go on our virtual forum. So our next question is going to be coming up from Ivy. Ivy, welcome to the virtual forum. We're going to go to your question now. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, and I'd like to make a comment, please, and I would appreciate it if I could finish the comment before you start hollering at me. My question is, when are we going to start blaming the individual? We are blaming the drugs, we are blaming the alcohol, and we are blaming the casinos. In the case in point, John, his mother, that was her bad parenting that is costing that kid. They did not drag her into the casino. She willingly went in. We need to place the blame where it lies, on the individual. Thank you very much.
Okay, if we could go to the next gentleman at the podium here. Sir, if you wouldn't mind, you state your name, where you're from.
My name's Rod Burns. I was born and raised in Hamilton. I have a question for the OLG. How many casinos are you planning on opening, and how many bingo parlors are you planning on opening?
The number of new casinos is 5. We're looking to put one in Kenora, one in North Bay, one in the Wasaga, Collingwood area, one in the Belleville and Quinte area, and then one in the GTA. As for bingo, I'm going to defer to my colleague Tony Battanti.
My name is Tony Battanti. I'm the Senior Manager of Communications at OLG. In terms of bingo, there are currently 61 bingo halls in operation in Ontario. The option that they have right now is, do they want to be part of a revitalization program? It is the bingo hall and the associated charities and the municipality that will decide that. If these municipalities don't want that to happen, it won't, or the bingo halls or the charities. Right now we have one phase that's being rolled out. There's about 12 halls. There is another phase that we're starting consultations on that phase with about 12 or 13 more halls. But again, that's very early in this process. And again, there are a total of 61 in the province, but not all of them will be part of the bingo revitalization program.
Thank you very much for your question. So as everyone can see, Mayor Bertina is here. And so, thank you, Mr. Mayor Bertina. Paul, if we can, just another written comment?
I'm going to combine where I can. So this is in relation to Flamborough Downs. And Mark from Hamilton has a question that he's heard that if there's a downtown casino, it will shut down Flamborough Downs. And is this the case? And related to that, if Flamborough Downs is moved to another location, what will happen to the jobs of the people who work there now? So we can combine those two together on the Flamborough Downs question.
Thank you very much. On that two-part, if there's a downtown casino and there's no government support for racing, there definitely will be no horse racing at Flamborough Downs. It's not simply a matter of just where the casino is located. It's also support for purses, etc. On the question of will the jobs still be there, they wouldn't specifically be at Flamborough Downs, but could they be at the new casino? That would be up to who the operator of that casino would be.
Thank you very much. We're going to go to the phone right now. And Eric, who do you have on the line?
Thanks, Chris. We do have another question coming up. This one on our virtual forum is from Danielle from Ward 8. So Danielle from Ward 8, please go ahead with your question.
My question isn't a comment. It's more or less basically if you want one in downtown, how about using the Royal Connaught as the casino? Because that way you have rooms upstairs for our visitors, as well as you have the large lobby, you have the great dining area, plus all the conference rooms that can be used. So I believe that would even spice up the downtown, bringing more people to come in and more business, more tourists. So this is my best comment, and I've been hoping to be able to say this. Thank you.
And we appreciate that. Sir, to the podium, your name, sir, and where you're from?
My name is Igor Kasprzycki, and I live in Ward 3, and I work right here downtown, actually, kitty corner from City Hall. I have a short comment first, and then I have a question for the OLG salesman. The comment is, I'm actually really disappointed with some of the commentary that I'm reading in the spec from some of the councillors. It is really, really logic deficient. How we as a city are confident that we can mitigate the impact of a casino against the advice of mental health professionals, but we cannot mitigate the impact of something as simple as urban chickens that have generated 3 complaints in the city of Guelph really undermines my confidence in the city and staff. And for the OLG, I have a question as to how can the OLG say that they are respecting the consultation process mandated by the province when by killing the slots at Flamborough without any consultation, they are putting this council basically ransoming jobs? They either approve a casino or say goodbye to local jobs. I want to know how do they think they are respecting the consultation process when putting a gun to the head of city council?
Attempt to answer that question.
Certainly. Again, the Slots at Racetrack program, that program itself was ended by the government. That wasn't our decision. That was actually a policy decision.
So if I can, just before we go to the next person, which I think will go to the telephone line, but I just want to mention here that Councillor Jackson is at a library meeting tonight, and if it wasn't for that, otherwise he would be here. So if we can, I'd like to go to Eric. Eric, who do you have on the line?
Thank you, Chris. We now have Tina on the line. So Tina, welcome to our virtual forum. Please go ahead with your question.
Hi, I'd like to start off by saying that I'm not opposed to a casino in the city of Hamilton, and anywhere in Hamilton. I just would like the government of Hamilton to maybe reconsider the location. However, my question is that I've heard the chief medical officer suggest that perhaps we ensure that the facility is closed for a minimum of 6 hours a day and that we eliminate ATM machines from any facility. And I'm wondering whether you guys would consider that at OLG and whether you would implement something of that nature.
Tina, thank you for that question, and back to you, Chris.
Yes, I know she directed it at Elizabeth. I know it's our decision at the end of the day, or council's, but Elizabeth, do you have any comment to make on that?
Chris, I believe it was directed to OLG.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Again, I'm going to defer to my colleague, Paul Pellizzari.
Okay.
We've heard and we've received the City of Hamilton's health recommendations, and we are evaluating all of them. We will be coming back to the city with our responses to all of those particular requests.
Wonderful. Okay, if we can, we're going to go to the telephone, and then after that we'll go to you, Paul, with the next written question. So, Eric.
Thank you, Chris. We have another question. We still have a number of people waiting on the phones to have their questions have a chance to get heard. And here's another one. This one is from Lisa. Lisa, welcome to the virtual forum. Please go ahead with your question.
My name is Lisa Allway, and I live in Hamilton, and I'm calling from home. And I just wanted to say that I think a casino would be the greatest thing Hamilton ever saw, and it would be the greatest thing since sliced bread. And I think...
Thank you very much for that. If we can, we're going to go to the next speaker at the podium. Yes, sir. Your name and where you're from, sir.
Good evening. Good evening, councillors, respected councillors, panelists, citizens. My name is Vikram Singh. I'm a lawyer in Hamilton. My question is a multi-pronged with respect to the advantages and or disadvantages from moving the casino from Flamborough, where it presently states in this jurisdiction, on the grounds of the impact it has, and this is direct to different members of the panel, with respect to law enforcement, the advantages and or disadvantages that you may foresee with respect to moving this casino from Flamborough to the downtown core. With respect to the commercial advantages and or disadvantages, the question is directed towards our respected panelists from the OLG, from, again, moving it from the Flamborough location to the downtown core, and to our third segment or third area, which we may call the social impact or the education impact, from moving it from the Flamborough location to the downtown core. If any of the panelists could comment with respect to what they see in their mandate as those factors proposing this as a location. Thank you.
I don't know who wants to start with that, but I look to all of you. Any of you?
I'd be happy to start from a commercial standpoint. So I think some of the advantages are you're moving into a higher population with much more condensed offering in terms of buildings in the area, and I think from an attraction standpoint, the private sector would look to the City of Hamilton to be able to augment the offering that's here today and perhaps add a new hotel, perhaps entertainment facilities, restaurants to work with the business community. I think some of the disadvantages that we may or may not learn is we understand and know that the current facility is a viable facility in the Flamborough location. Operators or potential operators, service providers, when they do the business cases, it may not make economical sense to move that location to downtown Hamilton. So that's yet to be determined. Again, through the process, the private sector will build the proposals. We'll have to review and evaluate those proposals, and that'll all be done based on basically the zoning amendments that each of the municipalities have made.
Thank you, Rick, for that answer. So we have about 10 minutes before 9 o'clock, so we'll try and get as many of the questions here that the individuals that are lined up. So, sir, your name and where you're from.
My name's Rob Moscardini, born and raised resident of Hamilton, and I'm amazed that the Americans accuse us of being a passive people after saying this. I have over 18 years experience in restaurants, hotels, and catering in and around Hamilton. In fact, my last Hamilton project was changing the Holiday Inn on King Street to a Ramada. At that time, I sat on the Convention and Tourism Committee, combined with other hoteliers that I competed with, convention and tourism employees, economic development employees. We went outside of our community as a team to pitch our city. We knew there was only one way to pitch our city, and that was as a hub. We were not a destination. Never have been. We brought people in and told them that in 45 minutes to an hour, we could take them to St. Jacobs, Toronto, Niagara Falls. Today, I work for a Mercedes-Benz dealership down the road. I'm the van specialist. On a regular basis, I get tour operators coming in to look at our passenger vans and minibuses to take people out of our community. Nothing has changed in 20 years. Okay? We have also sold many Mercedes-Benz to casino employees. Obviously, they are making better than the minimum wage that a lot of our people are making at Tim Hortons and McDonald's these days. I listened to, pardon, no insult intended, fear-mongering. If I apply some of the things I heard tonight to the LCBO, to an increase in population, I should be asking council, do not increase population, we will have more crime because more people. We should close every LCBO because we are creating alcoholics. I believe in freedom of choice, and to deal strictly on the minority and prohibit me from my freedom of choice, I don't agree with. I am a non-gambler, I've never been in a casino, have no intention of going to one. Okay? Let's face it, we'll never get an NHL team. We have recently reduced our debt load by putting major facilities into private sector hands. Let's give them something to work with. We couldn't do it as a community on city money and make it work. Give the private sector a chance. Give them something downtown, such as the Carmen's facility is suggesting, to make us a destination. Please don't make this another prohibition. It did not work. Thank you.
In line, your name, sir, and we're going to just keep going through this line that's here. Yes, sir.
My name is Andrew Altilia. I'm a Hamilton resident from East Hamilton, and I've been quite impressed, and I think a lot of Hamiltonians are, with the mission statement that has been established and very much taken up by most Hamiltonians. And so I would expect and ask that we make a decision on this based on that mission statement to be the best place in Canada to raise a child, to foster innovation, to engage citizen involvement. And please help me with the last one because I forgot. Just from that basis, I'm detecting that the large push for this is coming from the OLG. We're not certain as a city exactly where we stand with it, but I'd like to hear, I've heard some evidence on the economics, but I'm wondering if the council, or better the Economic Development Department, has decided if this is congruent with our overall economic plan as a long-term component. Is it going to foster innovation, for example? And does it fit in with the actions that we've already taken to develop art as a destination or as a draw? And is there some evidence to back up that position one way or the other? I don't know the answer, but I'm hoping that the decision can be formulated in part on those terms. So that's my question, but if someone can answer that.
Sure. I mean, thank you very much. I can say that next month, in fact, Council has directed staff to go and undertake a an economic impact study, and that is being developed and will be presented in February prior to any decision being made. So I think it's great that you referenced the vision of the city, and but your question specific is that work is being undertaken by our folks in planning economic development. So if I can to you, sir. Sorry, your name and where you're from and your question or comment. We've got a few more people behind you. We're going to try and get done at 9 o'clock.
Yes, I know that.
Thank you.
And my name is Stuart Jackson. Some of you know me on my show, Peacemaker Journey McMaster Radio. Anyways, my answer, put the casino down, had no to that because, one, I've been to London. I saw a result, have a casino London, led to a lot of vacant stores and stuff like that. So, great, no, but I say keep it Flamborough and double the size of the casino, doubling the amount and having a full hotel facility at Flamborough will be far better than having in downtown Hamilton. And this way, if people come to stay hotel, they're going to go have some fun and then, you know, enjoy it. Like I gone there myself at Flamborough, but I don't go get addicted to it, go fun, but I don't addicted to it, but that's what I look at. So my answer is no. Not casino downtown Hamilton. Flamborough down, yes.
Thank you very much, sir. And the next gentleman behind you, if you could, your name, sir, and where you're from.
My name is Stuart Jackson. I'm a north end of Hamilton.
We now know who you are, sir. I'm asking the next gentleman behind you. Thank you very much for your comments, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi everybody, my name is Brent McCaman and I'm actually from Windsor. I've lived there 17 years of my life and I've lived in Hamilton for the past 2. I'm a student at Redeemer University College and woo, yeah, represent. And so I think that the question that I would like to ask is to everybody who's present tonight. It's not necessarily for the councillors, it's not necessarily for the OLG, but it's to everybody here. And it's a question of fundamental value, and that is what's worth more, human life or profit? And when I say that, I mean, is it really worth the implementation of a casino that can put vulnerable people groups at risk? Like, do we really believe that that's a viable alternative? Like, there exists many viable alternatives to this casino, and that it's ultimately, do we really want to subject people to exploitation? Like, do we really want to create those possibilities? Because that possibility does exist, that if this casino is put in the downtown, that these people are going to be exploited, that there are going to be mental health concerns. No one is saying that that's, like that, everyone is admitting that that is a problem that can occur. That is a problem. So do we really want to open the door to that? Is profit more valuable than people?
Okay, I thank you very much for that question. I think you have your answer. Minutes here, so if we can, I'm just going to, Paul, I don't know how many more we're going to take in terms of the line. I don't know where the line ends, but sir, your name?
5 in total, Chris.
5 in total, and then we're going to get a sign off from the radio. But before we do that, so 5 more after you, sir, and then we'll go from there.
Hi there, my name is Andrew. I'm from Hamilton here. And I think my biggest concern is that this decision will be made by March 1st by adding up all the pluses and minuses. You have more pluses at the end of the day, you'll go for this, and if you have more minuses, you won't. And I think my problem with that, including the study that you're doing, and all the other ones, moral and economical and so on, is that the results are so polarized depending on who the expert is that you're talking to, that in my opinion, that quality in and of itself is enough to dump this thing. We have as close to a sure thing as you can ask for going on downtown right now. We have creativity, we have innovation, we have companies moving in, we have people moving in, we have property values going up, we have an undeniable increase in the quality of life down here. And to me, anything with a question mark above it should not be allowed. So you know, rather than adding up all the pluses and minuses, I think we should just look at anything that has even the slightest chance of threatening the sure thing that we have and dump it.
Thank you very much.
That's it.
Sir, if your name, please, and where you're from.
Sure. I'm Reverend Ian Sloan, and I'm the minister at Centenary United Church, which is just over there at McNabb and James Street, Main Street West, sorry. And I'm also a member of the Social Justice and World Outreach Committee of Hamilton Presbytery of the United Church of Canada. Probably that's enough for me to say. I can probably just leave. But I did feel that it would be helpful in this forum because, in fact, there are many faith traditions in this city, and it would be, I think, incumbent on us to be thinking about what the faith traditions have to say about questions like this. So I can speak from my own tradition, and it's a fairly moderate form of Christianity. I would hazard that there are people, notice I use that word, people in my congregation who would feel that responsible gambling was a possibility and something that we can have in our society. But I would like us to think a little bit about some of the reasons why we wouldn't want gambling at all in our community. And let me just give this image to you from Scripture, Christian Scripture. I think the most pertinent image from Christian Scripture is that of people gambling for the clothing of Jesus while he's on the cross, being crucified. That's the Christian understanding of what gambling does. So I want to give that to you to consider because it's about the moral fiber of our communities. And you can tell I could preach a sermon, but I won't. Thank you.
Thank you very much. A few more here. Yes, please, your name.
Hi,
where are you from?
My name is Kim Burns. I'm originally from Flamborough. I now live in Hamilton, and I am a horse owner, a racehorse owner. As of March 31st, I have a racehorse. April the 1st, I have a dead horse. There's going to be a lot of us that are going to have horses that will have no jobs. The OLG, I know you've said that it was a government decision to end the slots at racetrack, but you have a way of correcting that. You could actually help us. You are in a position to help us. Why can't you?
Rick, if you have a comment for that.
I mean, I will reiterate that it was, in fact, a government decision, a policy decision to remove the SARP program. Again, we're in the business of providing safe and highly regulated entertainment for the millions of people that enjoy it across Ontario. We're trying to make sure that we're doing our job on behalf of the government and lining up our products where the people are. So with that, I mean, we've heard a number of positions and certainly input this evening, which I think we all need to take back and consider.
Would you consider that?
I'm not in a position tonight to to commit one way or the other on that specific question. We've certainly heard the positions tonight, and all I can commit is to take back what we've heard tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. We have two more questions, and then we're going to go over to Eric and before we sign off. So if you wouldn't mind stating your name and where you're from.
Sure. I'm Kate Beckett. I was born and raised here. I moved away for 9 years, and I moved back because I heard that Hamilton was a great place to live. It is different than when I lived here before. And my question is, to the rep from the OLG, it seems that most people are here who are in favor of the casino are in favor of it because they want the tourism dollars that are going to come from people coming into Hamilton to gamble at the casino. My question is, with the increase of casinos across Ontario, why do we think that people are going to come to Hamilton to gamble? That's a real question. It's not a rhetorical question. Why do we think that the Hamilton Casino will draw tourism dollars?
I think Rick understands that. Could you answer that question, please?
Yes, certainly. And whether a destination facility, if a destination facility is built, you know, with other offerings within Hamilton, I got to believe that can attract tourism. Is it going to attract all the tourism? No, because there's other communities in the province that are going to be doing the same thing. But it's going to come down to, again, what type of plan the private sector puts together, what types of offerings that they have, they've got a great way of partnering with other businesses that are out there in the community, and we think that they're going to have a variety and be very, very creative as to what they come up with. So.
Thank you, Rick, for that. We have one more question here, and then we're going to sign off. Before we do that, we'll go to Eric, but if you just state your name and where you're from, please.
My name is Christina. I spent 25 years trying to get out of Hamilton. I didn't like the city. And then I went on an art crawl about 3.5 years ago and made the choice 6 months later to move to James Street North. I want to thank you guys up there for trying to provide us with a wonderful form of entertainment in the name of progress and in the name of profit. You guys have a hard job. I get it. You've got to make your numbers. My comment and then question for City Hall is with the increased, and you guys will analyze, I trust, the numbers, but with the 10% proposed increase in profits that you guys will potentially receive from putting the casino downtown as compared to Flamborough, what are the offset costs for the increased demand on the social services that we will undoubtedly end up having? My question for City Council is, what commitment do we have that you guys will foot that bill, and what commitment do we have that my children and my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren won't have to stand here and fight for those services to be provided for in the future?
It's a specific question to Hamilton. I understand what you're saying. So, I mean, Elizabeth, I know in terms of the programs that you have, some of those programs would address an aspect of this, but I think the question goes beyond what you're able to answer. It would probably delve into the work that our General Manager of Community Services will be doing. And this is, you know, I think fundamental to the broad breadth of information that Council is looking for before it makes a decision. But Elizabeth, if you could just give us some of your thoughts on that question.
Sure, Chris, and I'll ask Robert to weigh in a little bit as well. From a health standpoint, from the problem gambling treatment standpoint, you know, that's just one aspect, as you said, Chris. There's many of them that relate to the health and social issues around this. And so if we look at problem gambling, it's important to understand that only about 1 to 2% of people who are problem gamblers come forward for treatment. So if you look at a 1 to 3.4% rate of problem gambling in Hamilton, that's about 5 to 17,000 people, and only about 1% of those come forward for treatment. So, and it's a very specific group that do. So when we look at the increased numbers, you know, our program is 100% funded by the province, and we would be, you know, looking at those issues and how much expansion to that program might come along with that. But I think the biggest issue is 98% wouldn't be coming forward for treatment. That's why we've also been asked to look at the issue of prevention and what further expansion of prevention programs, because we know when we're out there promoting the program, we do get more uptake. But I'll just turn it over to Robert.
Yeah, the research that I've seen suggests that each problem gambler costs about $56,000 at a minimum to our social and health system. Treatment, lost wages, so there's a variety of different things that's factored into there. So problem gambling, in fact, is a very expensive social and health issue. And I don't think we really, again, we don't really factor that in to the equation in the way that it should be. And yes, we do have a problem with treatment uptake. We have one of the most accessible treatment systems in the world here in Ontario, and only about 1% of the in-need population surfaces for treatment. We have a problem here that's highly stigmatized. There's a lot of shame attached to it. And there's a lot of misunderstanding about gambling problems too. A lot of people misidentify themselves as having not a gambling problem, but a financial problem, or a problem with my system, or whatever. So we all got to get really better educated about this and become more willing to accept problem gambling as an issue, just as we do alcohol or drug addiction.
Thank you very much, Robert. We're going to turn the floor over for a minute here to Eric to sign off, and then I'll make just my concluding. And
May I ask one question?
No, sir.
One question, and it is for our mayor. What other business are you going to bring into this city that will create as many jobs as this one will?
I hear you. Wonderful. Thank you. So if we could turn to Eric, please. Eric?
Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you, Chris. I just want to say thank you to everyone who's joined us so far in the City of Hamilton's virtual information forum. I'm happy to be involved in this historic meeting with over 24,000 people that have joined us today. We can safely say this is the largest meeting in Hamilton's history, and I want to thank everyone for their questions tonight, and thank you for everyone being so patient on the call. We just hope that you enjoyed this forum tonight. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Eric, and everyone that participated. I want to thank our panelists. They were, I think, fantastic. They did a great job. Here tonight and heard very clearly what you have to say, and I want to thank staff, certainly Mike Kirkopoulos, Paul Johnson, Lisa Zinkowicz, and Norm Schlein, and good night, drive safely. Thank you.